Welcome back to Ahsoka, the show where you can somehow survive being stabbed by a lightsaber. Now, let me just say, I do have a little bit of hope from the last episode. I just want to mention because I have no hope from Star Wars, and it was kind of surprised me that that actually gave me a little bit of hope, and that is they actually respected a little bit of their lore for the universe, and that is spaceships can no longer jump out of a planet's atmosphere into hyperspace because of the gravitational pull of the planet. That's pretty much it. I know, like, wait, it's just that you're happy that they respected the lore on this little bit of a detail, Carl. Yes, the fact that gravitational pull now matters gave me a little bit of hope that they were actually going to start respecting the Star Wars lore. Yes, Sabine could get stabbed and not die like what happened to Qui-Gon Jinn and all that, but yeah, maybe they're actually going to do something right. Yeah, no. I'll get into that later, but it kind of crushed my hope towards the end. Anyway, so in the episode, we start with a nice training sequence of Sabine and Ahsoka and the Jedi Droid, which finally we have a Jedi being trained. Like Star Wars, take a hint. We like seeing training. We like how someone who has no skills finally learning how to actually handle a lightsaber and the Force. Now, she should have still died in episode one, but fine, fine. We'll leave that be for now. During this training, Sabine is just being tested for her skills. Pretty much gets told by the protocol droid that your skills are pretty much below average, and if you were part of the Jedi Temple, you would have been rejected right away. You wouldn't have qualified. So harsh truths, but pretty accurate. Her force abilities just aren't up to par. Ahsoka coming over starts giving her some more personal training. She hands her darked out visor, kind of similar to what we see in episode 1 with Obi-Wan and Luke, and she then hands her a wooden sword as well. She picks up a wooden sword of her own, and she starts trying to see if Sabine can sense her through the Force. She just lightly taps her on the shoulder to begin with, and I thought that was a great way to do it. Just lightly start with some taps, and then we can work our way up to some more like hard-hitting slaps. Because we could then show that Ahsoka is still frustrated with Sabine, that there's still a bit of a rift there, that Master and Apprentice haven't quite melded their relationship yet. Unfortunately, we didn't get any of that. It just was constant, just tap, tap, taps. Just like, come on, like, have at least some aggression, show that you're, like, a little frustrated with your Padawan. Like, it would have been nice to see that at least. But, no, it's just stoic all the way through. Just nice little light taps. Nothing harsh, nothing painful. No painful lessons of paying attention. Sabine, on the other hand, she just lets herself go into rage and doesn't really focus all that much. I mean, we get some inkling that she might have some sense of the Force because it looks like she could tell where Ahsoka was once or twice, but that's pretty much it. They have a conversation after that. Sabine's questioning on if they can pick up the training, and so Ahsoka telling her no, that it doesn't really work like that. And Sabine's like, well, how am I supposed to become a Jedi? And Ahsoka's like, well, it's going to take a lot of work. You're going to need some talent, but it also takes effort. So good luck. She also does this really weak ass force pull. Like, I get it. You're trying to not shatter her confidence by lifting the cup off the table and bringing it to you. But it's so weak. Like, the force pull just slowly brings the cup over to her. Like, you couldn't just, done more forceful pull. Like, I don't know. It just annoyed me a little bit. A Jedi of her caliber should have been able to just pull it, and that would have been a good enough demonstration. So the CGI or practical effects for this scene definitely were lacking. Just mentioning that. She then leaves Sabine to practice on her force pulling. She has a conversation with the protocol droid. Pretty much it's just about her history and what her expectations for Sabine is. It's kind of boring. I'm not going to go into that much. Next, we move on to Hera, and Hera's having a meeting with the Chancellor and a couple of senators about her findings on her mission so far. Because so far, she's been tasked with hunting down the criminal that escaped their warship that ended up killing their entire crew. And she found that there were some Imperialists on the world that were, still loyal to the Empire, which the senators tried to defend a little bit because they're Imperial, or at least former Imperials, all throughout society and throughout the Republic governing body, so try to defend it a little bit, but Hera kind of brings to the point that like, that's not really the kind of loyalty that we're looking for. So you give what you can get, unfortunately, after a civil war like that. And it's at this point that she mentions that she thinks Grand Admiral Thrawn might still be alive because Morgan and her associates are trying to go out and find him. And she wants to get a task force specifically to go hunt Thrawn down. This, unfortunately, is a bit of a mistake because the senators all think that Thrawn's dead. They don't really want to get into another war or another conflict. This leads to Hera accusing one of the senators of being a coward and sitting on the sidelines, which doesn't go well. I highly don't recommend anyone to call your boss a coward. It doesn't really work all that well when you do that. This leads to that senator claiming that Thrawn is probably dead and that Ezra Bridger gave his life, which Hera does an outburst, kind of like a child would, saying no, she doesn't believe that, which, okay, that's fine, but you could have, like, said that internally, or you could have just clenched your fists, showing that you're disagreement with it, but blowing up at your senator like that and calling him a coward really aren't good ways to go about it. At this point, Mon Mothma, the Chancellor, ends the conversation, and Hera is left to go contact Sabine and Ahsoka that she failed to get support from the Republic. So it's just going to be Sabine and Ahsoka hunting down Morgan, which I don't get, because you should have just led with Morgan and like, hey, I need this task force to go hunt her down. Can I get some resources to go do this? Like that should have been it. Instead, you went on your Thrawn tangent, and now you don't have the resources to go hunt down the criminal, which I don't get. But hey, that's how they want to do it. As Sabine and Ahsoka get this news, their conversation with Hera is suddenly cut short due to them entering the system. Apparently there's some jamming going on, so she has them come out of light speed just to be on the safe side. It's a good thing they did, because all of a sudden they start getting attacked by some fighters. Now at this point, I would have made the fighters TIE fighters, because I have no idea what these things are, but at least, you could have made some like beat up, rusted looking TIE fighters. This is the Empire, come on. Once they spot these fighters, they start taking evasive maneuvers. Sabine goes onto the guns, and Ahsoka's flying is okay, but it's not great, and Sabine's shooting is mediocre at best. She's able to fire some shots, but nothing really hits. It's not until like they start working together, doing some maneuvering, that they actually are able to do some damage. Now, it's okay for like a little bit of a bonding scene of showing them that, hey, they can work together, but I don't know, I didn't get much emotional connection to that scene. A really dumb part about this scene, I might add, is that Ahsoka decides to just ram one of the fighters. Like, you do realize that these could be assassin's droids piloting that fire, and it could just sacrifice itself to kill you, right? Because you're not a battering ram. Like, I'm sorry, the scene in Rogue One where they literally had a battering ram slicing off another Imperial Star Destroyer, it was cool but very dumb. I personally didn't enjoy that much myself, but takes different people, I guess. So I don't know really what she was trying to accomplish there. Thankfully, the pilot did swerve out of the way, and Sabine was then able to shoot it, but still, you had a big risk for, yes, somewhat of a payoff, but I would not risk that. At this point, though, now that some of the fighters are dead, they continue on towards the planet, where they then see the giant hyperspace ring. Unfortunately, their scanners aren't good enough to scan a long distance, so they have to get closer. As they're getting closer, though, it starts open firing on them with turbo lasers. Ahsoka does some more flying, but they still get several hits. They're just about to finish their scans when they lose all shields, and sparks starts flying everywhere. It's not until a few moments later that we see that they're still alive, but all power is dead. Seeing that they're just sitting ducks, Ahsoka goes outside on top of the spaceship in a spacesuit to distract the fires. Now, I don't really understand what this is supposed to accomplish. If I was one of those fires, I would just aim at her spaceship and destroy the ship, because that's kind of the whole point. Like, yes, you have a weirdo standing on top of the spaceship, but aim at the actual ship. It's a bigger target, and if you destroy that, they're dead. There's nothing that they can do. But no, the fires start aiming at Ahsoka. Luckily, the plot is pretty nice here. Plot armor is great. And unfortunately, the next dumb part comes. So Ahsoka does some dodging, which would be okay if she just jumped straight up into the air and then used the force to pull herself back down to the spaceship. But unfortunately, I guess space now has gravity. So we had some continuity, and now we're breaking the universe again. Nice. Because she just jumps up and then just jumps down or falls down. I'm like, you're doing this again? But hey, that's Star Wars for you. Listening to the universal rules for a moment and then breaking them next. Luckily, she's able to take out some of the fires by doing this, and Sabine is able to get the ship running before they're able to get actual good hits on the ship to destroy it. Which, still, why did they not fire at the ship to destroy that instead of Ahsoka? Don't know. Just doesn't make any sense. Ahsoka climbs back into the spaceship and they zoom off towards the planet because they need to escape from these guys and they're badly damaged, don't have any shields. So, while they do have some shields, but they're very limited. So they gotta do some fancy flying. Now, once they reach the planet's atmosphere, this is the next dumb part. They run into space whales. Of course, there are space whales. Now, if you don't know the space whales are from Rebels, the final episode where they defeat Thrawn. You know what these space whales can do? These space whales can hyperspace jump. Yeah, real nice. Like, okay, most people probably don't have an issue with it, but I do. Like, that's just dumb and like, why? Why can space whales just hyperspace jump? I just personally find that really dumb. But thankfully to the space whales, they're able to weave through them and lose their tails, or at least a little bit. As they're losing their tails, they're able to land in the force and shut everything down. Just as they do this, the fires come by and pass them over, and they're safe for a little bit. At this point, they start rebooting up all the systems. The droid's able to announce what his findings are, and this is my next point of frustration. The hyperspace ring can jump galaxies. Now, why is that an issue for me? The issue is because there's supposed to be a barrier around the Star Wars galaxy that makes it impossible to leave, except for in the galactic north where the Yuuzhan Vong come through. Otherwise, someone put up a barrier around the Star Wars galaxy. It's believed that this might be the Celestials, but we're not really sure, at least according to Star Wars lore. Now again, we just destroy more of the EU, and now you can just jump galaxies. So there's nothing special about the Star Wars galaxy anymore. You can just leave any time. Nice. And the way that they're able to do it is because of those space whales. You see, those space whales have migration patterns, and if you know those migration patterns, you can go to other galaxies now. Fantastic. Awesome. I don't know. It's not a really fun part of the show for me. The episode finishes up with Baylan sending out his mercenaries to go hunt them down, and that's the end of episode 3. Once again, I will say they did fantastic jobs with the ships. Absolutely gorgeous. Favorite part of the episode. Baylan, good part. Not really much with him this time. Just a whole bunch of dumb parts in this episode, so I gotta give it probably a 3 or a 4. I take off 3 points for just breaking continuity in so many places, and 3 points for not really making me feel anything for the characters, and an extra point for just the show being dumb. So, let me know your guys' thoughts. Am I being fair? Am I being too harsh? How can I improve these videos? Just go ahead and give me a comment in the video below, and I look forward to hearing from you guys. Alright, you guys take care and have a wonderful day. Bye.